Welcome to my lovely HP community and the 5D Collective. We're a bunch of mystics and spiritual and mindful living and loving people who like to we like to have integrated brains and restorative embodiment self, and that's why we know what true life partners are made of, and that some people don't want to move here, and that's in their inner well-being. And there you go. So mentor, yes, for those who want to do the work. Content creator, podcast host, and we have a lot of things going on. So one-to-one mentorship, you write me email if you want to sign up for our future masterclass and future spiritual workshops and retreats. Go ahead. And for practical video exercises with mindset, mindfulness, and mindset in mind, you subscribe to our paid Spotify and fan base. Those are the two platforms. Spotify, there's also other platforms we're on. And once it's opened up to YouTube, that's what we're going to have. And so we had a couple of shorts where I got to share with you a bit of tidbits here and there. I'm attachment trauma informed, in addition to being a Reiki master, a mindfulness, mindset practitioner, and there's more added. So you can ask all the questions you want. Akashic Record Reader, Anima Mundi, and I do begin my journey of spirituality with Christian Catholicism, which is an honor for me. Jesus is my guide, and God is consistently what I have that direct relationship with. And what I wanted to begin with is that, which we already know, a bunch of people don't like us and call us evil, Lucifer, and all that bad energy stuff. Also with yoga doesn't bring demons out of you. They're not attachment trauma informed, and a lot of people do not have bilateral integration, and so they don't notice themselves speaking about topics that have an in-depth arena of researchers and academics. I'm not an academic by choice, but if I talk about economy, I will know of all the subject matters, meaning that I won't be saying, no, capitalism will always exist. No, we don't know that. Actually, only a stupid brain thinks that everything from yesterday is going to continue to exist. I'm a political science major. I choose to not talk about those topics on purpose. But my point is, between social sciences, humanities, there's microeconomics, macroeconomics. I don't even know all the words to it, but economy is a very in-depth in and of itself, and so is social construct. So somebody who's thinking that society is going to stay the same, another idiot again who doesn't understand the entire field in academia, and the same people who disregard academia as important and valuable. But even if they do, it doesn't matter because we have it. And so again, I do personal development, self-help, and that's what we hone in on. But my point is, discernment means you understand that you can only know so much about one topic, and that when it comes to the big globe, there's a lot of different aspects. So somebody thinking that there's only going to be those yesterday 10 political systems, religious systems, and or economical systems, okay, you are obviously stopped in a moment in time from yesterday. It's okay. You don't have to be here. So 5D is where the integrated brains are at. And that's also, I'm an online entrepreneur, content creator. I like to mingle and tingle with smart human beings is what I'm trying to get. The network that we're building are of human beings who think creatively, expansively, with fun and joy, and we don't take things personally. So we're not going to be, you're not pilly enough. No, that's not actively how we do anything. You know what? In order for people to have good families, they have to go from yesterday. No, again, no, actually, let's talk about that, shall we? So I want to talk about that because this is the point of the whole half safe people. All individuals on this planet, all 8 billion people, I'm going to make a blanket statement, but first I'm going to Robert Sapolsky, come on in with determined. Thank you, Robert, for writing your book. He says we have no free will. I know why. And I'm okay with that. My 3-year-old, she's all here. That's why you can't disrupt my playground, because my mind is safe and my body and all of me is safe. That's emotionally, mentally, physically. I will make sure not to be around any type of potential danger. And that's about it. So as long as my mind and my emotions are mine, you can call me a bitch, a whore. You can keep it. Keep it coming. Come on, what are you going to do? So this is the part of where, one, if it's a stranger, it doesn't mean shit to me. But if you're personal, and I have seen plenty of things throughout my years, because we all have teenagers at some point, way, shape, or form, which is the only time I was actively and emotionally teenager. And I got to grow up, and my brain got to grow up with me. And so you don't turn life's stings into wisdom if you don't know how to handle thoughts and emotions, like a ventral vagal, which is where that Zen master doesn't know how to do mindfulness, which is why he doesn't deserve the title Zen master. If you ask a person who knows how to use the prefrontal cortex with emotions, and that the cycle of an emotion lasts 90 seconds. And people say, you want only one emotion. No, I actively simply know how to navigate my ventral vagal. You don't. So you go on and off, on and off, on and off, because your sympathetic dorsal vagal is what you learned because you have a default mode network that scans yourself and others, and you're waiting for approval from someone, and I'm not, because I'm a 3-year-old who said, hey, Mom, you can't spank me. And when she was finished, I went to make my suitcase. And as Stephen Porges points out, it's not the events that happen to you, it's the body. And as some of the studies show, it could be in our DNA. I have a twin. My twin, as I am making my suitcase, goes up to my mother and hugs her and says, Mommy, I will never leave you, which shows to you her temperament and her personality patterns. And my temperament and my personality patterns are very much Grumpy Bear, and hers are Sunshine Bear. And those were our nicknames. And I kept on looking like that. In fact, here's another 3-year-old story, as my biological father called me the wrong name. I waited 3 times. And then I corrected him by saying, I'm Maria. And this is a story to let you in on a fun fact. Do you know your 3-year-old? If you do, awesome. If you're empowered, great. Then you're here having a good time like us. If you need Patrick Tiahan, you welcome to stick around. But my point is, Patrick Tiahan is for people who don't know how to love themselves first, and who don't want to stay as half-safe people. So half-safe people, I've been hearing them all over the place as they play saviors and healers, which is why I use the word disrespectful. Yes, I'm a Reiki master. Yes, I'm an Akashic record reader. I don't heal you. Yes, I'm a person who's a mystic, and therefore I do, in more ways than one, have had downloads, channeled messages, people of my entire oversoul, and more than just that, because if you are mystic, and or in the know-how, we pick up on our oversoul. I got to expand to the earth, and then I got to expand beyond. And I still remember when all of this is happening and how I awakened to infinity and beyond. It was the most amazing of experiences. It was following 2 of my Kundalini awakenings with one of my number 3 twin flames, and that was most magical because I knew what was happening. So an empowered feminine doesn't get destabilized, but it's because I already know where I come from. The name is God, and the name is Jesus. And so with Christian Catholicism, I didn't have questions about Claire's. I just knew, not everyone is going to welcome me. And in fact, a theologian went ahead and made sure he would insult the entire group of Reiki practitioners by making sure that he wrote about it being bad energy. And I'm like, wow, really? So you think, Holy Spirit. You don't own shit. You just own a title, and those who will want to follow you, well, they can keep following you. In the meantime, those of us who do know God, Holy Spirit, angels, and the entire anima mundi, you accept all, you reject none. So it's a big field. We also don't keep using Lucifer's name anymore because there's no Lucifer. There's only people who are with trauma, and if they're not healing it, these are those half-safe people because they're distorting shit with their left mode, and they're non-bilaterally integrated, and we don't really care to interact with people who don't know how to turn knowledge into wisdom because they can't do it. When life stings, if their body and mind and heart and self says it's laundry, they're actively in laundry land. So they're not a safe home because they don't know how to say, hey, 0-1-year-old, it's okay. We had one of those days. Let's go do something fun, shall we? And it's called Your Human Secondary Consciousness, which when I began writing the Inner Growth Mindset book, I said it's called the human condition, even though the therapist that wrote on Wikipedia or whoever it is said it's human dilemma. I'm like, it's not a dilemma though. We contemplate. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful morning. So when your mind and your heart are all yours, this is where you're at. Okay, so you get to be yourself when you love yourself, and loving yourself means your child parts are asleep. That makes you a life partner because you're not going to project your past upon someone else. And instead, the ones who think that they are here to save the world, well, I've met them. Yeah, a lot of the mystics that I meet, the 4D kind, they completely do not amaze me. I've gotten enough of knowingness of them. And the 3D human beings out there, well, they too are very fascinating to say the least. And so, again, being yourself for the 5D collective, it's very easy because we are our true selves. We have the prefrontal cortex. We like to be fun, and we do neutrality, and we do positive. And for negativity, we know how to make the capacity to navigate 2 planes, positive, negative, into a game called, hey, the wave is Because our prefrontal, Tara Brock's video, so mindfulness practitioner I am, mindset skills are easy when you have the capacity to feel the depths of your emotional plane, and mindset is also easy because your chit chatter is yours and you don't do inner or outer critic, because that would be bullshit. You're wasting your time in la la land. And life partners don't waste time in la la land. So we don't save one another or the world. We support each other and others and the world. And we also know about mental emotional availability, maturity, and intelligence. And that is because of having the integrated brain, the restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, and regulating life. So we're choosing this. Everybody at this point in our lovely human history has two options. They can disregard the good keep of trauma therapists and everyone who's telling you how to move into restorative embodiment, or they cannot disregard it, right? Okay, and so here we don't disregard that. We consistently move to more of our inner and outer well-being, because every day unknowns, uncertainties, and unexpected. So life can sting. That's why the practices create the resiliency to your restorative embodiment. But you choose it. And the people who think it's one emotion, because I've presented it to a number of people, personal development with the spiritual growth, or simply the yourself growth, since some are mystics and some are not. And they will contemplate it thinking I'm saying that you're going to experience one emotion. And at the same time, if you wanted me to say, yeah, I can be consistently happy is the word that I would use, consistently fulfilled, because I'm consistently alive inside my body, because I'm consistently navigating the love hormone of my body, because I'm consistently securely attached. So I'm a non-traumatized body thanks to the capacity for me to, use my thoughts and use my emotions. And that's the recalibrating that you get to do by your own self with somebody who is a mentor or a coach, or a lot of different words. And even if you do it by yourself, I didn't do it with a coach, I did it with Maria. But Maria was gifted God and Jesus and Holy Spirit. And so my catechism, when I went and I said yes, I was explained that I was promising to Jesus that I would live my life into God in a certain way. And I was gifted a miracle. And so to me, if I'm gifted a miracle and I'm pouting about it, God gave me 2 hands, 2 feet. There's no reason for me to pout here, is it? Yes, I'm human, but I don't need to pout. In fact, when I stopped venting, I asked for support from people around me. And the way they did not support me was this: but you're not Jesus, you're not Buddha. You can't do that. Okay, you know what? I wasn't talking about Jesus or Buddha, but then again, I do follow Jesus. So wow, that actually gives me even more motivation to completely do what I was already telling you I wanted to do. And in the meantime, I'm just thinking, why would you not support a person who's telling you that they want to stop venting because it's yucky energy? And so people who think, like the fancy lady in a suit, it's dangerous to have no emotion, that's because they're confused, because they haven't yet tried the elixir of your ventral energy, because they didn't try it like the Zen master. So when you know how to be online, it's because you're using your prefrontal cortex to evaluate the emotion and the thought. And you say, oh, it's not irrefutable facts. And that's why you can uncharge. So you metabolize sensations, images, affects, meanings, behaviors. You metabolize experiences, which is why your trauma history, the reality is for people, you won't be getting your trauma history in a very specific way. As Bessel van der Kolk points out, it will be in the experiences. But a person who is going to want to bring forth their body state of safety and connection is not going to bring forth their attitude. So they don't want to be a Cusco. Okay, so thanks to those of us who are choosing to be safe and reliable, functional child adults, we respect differentiation and self-agency, and we bring to each other what is a life partner, which is support, not mothering, fathering, not managing, not I am right, you're wrong, none of that. Okay, so we know how to be differentiated selves, and then we link because we're safe, and therefore we're open-hearted and we're vulnerable with ourselves and the other. We're creating that which is a partner for life, depending on your circumstances. Obviously, this is why the beauty is consistently communicating and openly. So nobody's afraid of rejection. Nobody's going to hide anything from the other. There's transparency, authenticity, and what's above all most important, the fulfillment of each other, which is why you don't take it personally if you're not completely fulfilling. You will have compersion is the word, which is where happiness is the number one factor. You are going to be seeking that you're each fulfilled and happy. And when you have functional child adults, there's no way you can actually go wrong, because each other's emotional well-being is in the forefront, because that gift of life involves emotional well-being. First of all, you're an emotional being first. Your thoughts come after. The minute you learn how to wield your thoughts, it's a no-brainer. Because it's the emotions that you're going to consistently work your way to get to the eventual energy. Once you're stabilized in it, then you know bliss and ease. It's called secure attachment, and that's where the coaches that are trying to get their clients out of the not secure attachment call it boring. It ain't boring. It's completely amazing. And when you're sharing it with another, that's the part of where the boredom does not take place. What takes place is a sense of ease, and that's because we're using good stress, but also a sense of appreciation. And here's where grace can come into the mix for those of us who are mystics. God can come into the mix, that heaven, the body. Definitely it's a different energetic imprint as well as frequency, as those who navigate the body state and protection, the visceral, this part's okay, and we'll talk maybe after, but meantime. So we don't save or heal each other, meaning that we each are our own saviors and healers, for our inner child comes forth. And that's the part that is different for those who are adaptive child. They are still unhealed, and what you'll see is that everything that comes forth is something that they wish would have happened for them within their own home. In fact, the way Terry Real tells you what an adaptive child is, it's a child's version of what the grown-ups should have done for him, her, or they in their home. And then there's charges, which is why they're unforgiving and harsh, and they get all upset and they don't expand their mind and heart. But if you have a self-aware, accountable, again, regulating person who's, I'm gonna love myself first, I'm gonna become an inner child adult, I want to use my prefrontal, they will make it to become that embodiment of their true self, get rid of the inner child, meaning the charged, traumatized one, and be happy in a relationship in a whole different way. So this is why personal development, long-term well-being, spiritual growth, that's where you find those of us who are definitely into the world, supporting it. And we don't need to save it, not one group of mystics or one spiritual belief system or one group of people. It's a collective effort, and it's a global one. And we do have a bountiful of integrated brains out there. So that's definitely something beautiful to know about from me to you. I know that we are seeing a lot of half-safe people and mystics. Yes, the 3D, 4D, they're bountiful. They're not going away, but we also have our 5D. And there's always a way that consciousness expands. But the half-safe people, they live life in relationships with that adaptive child part of themselves. They don't heal the traumatized charge parts. So what you will find is that they don't make life partners because they don't have the emotional or mental capacity, maturity, or awareness or interest of achieving wholeness. They also don't take accountability for what they bring to the room. They don't take reflection. They don't take feedback to unchart. It's a closed, I'm going to completely not take in anything of what you're saying, the way that you're saying it. And for me personally, I don't have any of those types of relationships, because when you are a healthy, self-worth, empowered woman or man, or they, the minute somebody begins to do something that's interrupting that which is a complete, beautiful way for me to be, I will at some point, shape, or form say, okay, this isn't working because I can't speak, I can't do that. There's no way in hell this is going anywhere. We're done, because it's like pulling teeth, but you don't even need to get there, because you're not pulling teeth in a way that you won't be aware if you're a healthy self-worth. So that's something that it's a sad story, because people who don't know that they don't have to be unsafe this way. But anyways, they're unsafe because they justify their adaptive child manners. They justify it to themselves. They justify it to another. If they even go into this shame, blame, fault, revenge, it's something that's on a loop. So they're in trauma time consistently. And they get themselves into other codependent, toxic relationships. Essentially, they're just going to live that one out. The saviors and healers, those I find they're quite disrespectful, not only of the individual and the self-agency of the individual, but also they perpetuate cycles of trauma within themselves, with their minds. So they're filling, the nightmare stories out there, gender stereotypes, you name it, but also in their relationships, the family system, and the world. So they carry on with that which is cultural, transgenerational, family trauma. We are not able to impose on all humanity to heal their childhood trauma and or to heal their personality disorders. This is the part. We got a bunch of other people in the sciences community not believing in the community that does research. So it's not a battle. It is actively twofold in my personal subjective opinion. Those of us who are 5D come together and know that we walk a walk and talk a talk with anchored in ventral vagal. And therefore, as you are walking with that which is a state of safety with yourself and with others, you're securely attached, integrated brain, and you offer anyone the opportunity. As those of us who are practitioners, we support with personal development, life coaching, right? All of this. And that's for the steps of when somebody is an active functional adult at the very bare minimum, not pretending to be one. There are plenty of those who are mystics, are spiritual bypassers, and I've seen more than enough Reiki practitioners, shamans, tarot card readers, even Akashic record readers. They're spiritual bypassers because of the way that their tone. Stephen Porges explains, our tone gives us away because it's our nervous system. So you will be wearing your heart on your face, not on your sleeve. And your heart will be here because of when you're a restorative embodiment, there's a way the face is versus when you have a dysregulated or modulated embodiment person. There's a whole posture. There's a book on this, so you could look at it. Okay, and, long story short, though, when I hear the 4D collective, they think that they are saviors. And to a person who grew up, again, with Jesus, it's just insulting. Immediately, I'm like, wow, you're disrespecting the one savior that I know of because you're not meant to feel like you are that. But I can explain to you the feeling because I'm perceiving the subconscious and conscious of those people. They're not. To their minds and their ears, like to any of the other adaptive child people, they are doing what is righteous or what is right. And that's exactly the other spot where you're going to spot it. It's when people don't know how to be equanimous that you know you got a teenager in the room because you're not battling. There's no battle going on. There's no movie. When somebody thinks they're battling, it's not a thought. They're actively and they're sympathetic. And I know now I have an ego in the room. So it's not something I will invest any time because the 3-year-old wants to be seen, to be soothed so that they can be safe and secure. So all they're wanting in that charged state is a little bit of attention because they didn't get heard when they were 3. They didn't get heard when they were 1. They didn't get heard when they were 16. And they're still the same 16-year-old who wants me to hear you. And as a person who heard those 16-year-olds and a person who has nothing to prove to anyone, that's it. But when I'm hearing the mystics going out of their way to tell you that it's thanks to them or this or that, I'm like, wow, you're so egoic. It's not even funny. And I've seen one dude, as he goes online, I now understand why they used to separate us from the others, So I've decided to make my whatever it is that he does more expensive and only, so to give this idea that what he's offering from spiritual perspective is better. Anyways, this elite bullshit tone is you're not humble. You have no integrity. You're not connected with a prefrontal, that's for sure. If you were, you would step down that head of yours and understand that you are an opportunity, not you're not the one who's gonna make it and break it all. It's an attitude of a small-minded ego. We contribute together as spiritual people to support those who want to access their own spirituality from that perspective. So you don't do it by being, and they read books and then they get all riled up. I got another couple of them, as they say, it's thanks to the twin flames that the matrix was dismantled. Sure. Okay, you gave yourself a role, a really big role. I got another person who's like, without me, they might not make it. The feminines and masculines, I need to hide my identity. Wow, now I'm thinking of the Beautiful Mind movie, which I didn't even know it was a real story and that it is of a person who has schizophrenia. And I know that person didn't have schizophrenia, but wow, I'm starting to think about that. Every time I hear a conspiracy theorist of any type, I'm like, okay, wow, this is not really fun watching people with alters on screen. And I'm thinking of my course with Dr. Daniel Siegel of dissociative identity disorder and disorganized attachment. I'm thinking of my other course with NICABM, and this is with Ruth Lanius and Bethany. I always forget her last name, dissociative disorders. And then I have another course with Ruth Lanius and Bethany, whatever her last name is, and with Dr. Daniel Siegel too. So at this point in my lovely journey as a mystic and a personal development mindful practitioner, I'm just on YouTube watching idiots, is how I'm going to have to call it, because that's what they are, but they're not idiots because they're stupid. It's like, wow, you lack complete, but wait, your textbook lacking self-awareness. And in the meantime, you're creating a group like the Flat Earthers, which is really awesome for you. Have fun. I'm thinking of in mediocrity. Thank you, Sadhguru. There's comfort, but no joy. No, they actively do think they have joy, but they don't, because here's the light part, shadow part, and then you see them getting on screen with structural dissociation completely offline. Then you got the other ones who are still not knowing how to self-regulate, like that Zen master in his ventral, and he wears a title, but he calls his emotions laundry. So he's oblivious to the technicality of, if you're still suffering the weight of emotions, you haven't done it right, Zen master. I mean, I get it. You stubbed your toe. I've stubbed my toe too. I understand. Every time you stub it, that's where, yep, prefrontal. The Tara Brach video shows it pretty easily. And this is when you'll get people who get irritated with this and they say, it sounds like you're just telling me to have one emotion, Maria. No, not really, but yeah, you know what? You don't want the joy? Don't have it. I mean, the reality is I don't even bother with that one because, again, the minute somebody is beginning to get upset at me explaining how you can navigate your embodied brain, you didn't hear that I said your nervous system. You're not breaking it down with the 3 nervous systems. And even if I tried to spell it out that way, oh, now you're emotionless, like that fancy lady thinks. It's not about emotionless. You cannot be emotionless. It's about your biochemistry. But even if you get technical like that again, a person, So, long story short, inner well-being. If a person really wants it, they're going to have it. A life partner is that. Otherwise, they're a half-safe person because Cusco turns tricks because he gets in moods, like an adaptive child. And the reality is, it's not anything that will threaten a person who's empowered, but it is a waste of my time. Because in the meantime, I know that your past living in you is something you can easily be aware of thanks to all the smart therapists that are online, like Patrick Tiahan. So a person, realistically speaking, has enough information to notice if they have exiles, protectors, and aspects that are Cusco-like or squirrel-like that need tending to, because if you don't, you're going to be half safe, because when you get in the mood and you become an asshole about it, you're not safe anymore. And so anything that I will say to you, that I will have shared in intimacy, you will use it against me. And you will use it on purpose against me. And that's because you're in a spiteful mood. And no, it's not an evil anyone, but you are not safe to be somebody who knows everything about another person. So life partners, as I'm trying to again explain, it's not a big deal to a person who can stub their toe, because the reality is the teenagers showed me all about the coward's world. And as a grown-up, I can still see grown-ups wanting to think that they save people, using Jesus, God, using their clairs, using everything, and not noticing that they're still with a level of this visceral going on. And some of these people are attachment trauma informed, so they're not stupid at all. But in mediocrity, again, there's comfort but no joy. And going beyond limits, there's joy but maybe no comfort. You have to choose. I, again, I know there is both comfort and joy in expanding the mind, because as our lovely Oliver Wendell Holmes, a mind that is stretched to a new idea never returns to its original dimensions. But really, it's also because enlightenment and embodying pure consciousness and living a flow state, that is what I get to share. This is the most fun. As I've gotten older, I just have more and more and more fun. My 3-year-old, she's here. My brain, my mind, it all expands, and none of my clairs destabilize me, because it was very simple to follow what Jesus told me. Forgive, turn the other cheek, do not cast a stone, and remember, blessed are those who believe without seeing. And as God said, these are all your brothers and sisters. You do not play God, be humble, have integrity. That's meaning humility, which is why you can stand in a ventral vagal while you stare down somebody and they don't know what the fuck's going on inside of you, because you got equanimity. And equanimity is a very absent, because it's called healthy self-worth. That's why the stupid lady thinks we have no emotions, like any other teenager will have thought. That's the part of what people confuse. And again, I bring in stories and the word stupidity because it is irritating. As a teenager, I was quite irritated by all those teenagers. So to this day, the teenager will come out. She's just not charged, but she still has the same way of thinking, because our teenage self is the black and white thinker. So it's easy. God said, be honest. Don't play tricks. It is straightforward as it gets, very literal. The minute I'm meeting cowards, they're all playing tricks for no other reason except for, I don't know, they're idiots. That this is the one thing, that's the only conclusion. Then I said, you know what, you need to stop calling them idiots, because you're an idiot too. But the teenager of me was completely all over this, and then I got busy with smart people, thankfully. So when you get to grow up, You're happy because you get to meet smart people who love to love and learn and live and laugh and not cast stones and expand. And that's where we're going to turn knowledge into wisdom. So when life stings, if our body, mind, heart, and self are our safe home, which is what we'll be talking about in the next couple days, we get to have a good time. Life partners are that. So again, everybody's putting their best foot forward, but if somebody doesn't take ownership of that which is their mental and emotional and physical plane when they're interacting with you and you are building a relationship, the part about you being able to feel that you can be yourself. So for me, if you are not going to allow me to, quote unquote, it won't happen. I'll say, this doesn't make me feel expressed. This doesn't make me this. I will keep on listing it to you, and I will say, this is not going to work because I'm restricted right now. Yeah, I don't feel expanded. It just makes me unhappy. So when you know what your happiness is, it's because you know what the essence of your inner child and your adult, and so how you want and how you feel expressed. And anybody who wants life with you will want you to feel expressed. So that's the feeling, it's not the thoughts. They will want you to feel that you can express yourself. The words matter in a way when we're doing something very technical, but when we are building a relationship, that's our own relational field. We create a love language. We accept that we can speak different languages, and we find a way to dance. This is the getting to know each other. We don't make assumptions. The closed-minded people make assumptions of each other. The ones of us who know that we can consistently evolve and expand, we consistently want to see each other. So this is the other part of the 5D collective, because we're in a flow state. Expanding pieces of consciousness, meaning people who have bilateral, vertical, and overall integration consistently expand because our self is the higher self. You're not with exiles. You're not with protectors. You don't have child parts that are charged. You don't have shit coming up all of a sudden that you are not, again, owner of. You observe, witness, narrate. You uncharge. You breathe. You pause. Mindfully living and loving people. 5D collective. Spiritually living and loving people. Mystic. The Christ consciousness. Oneness. And so breathing and talking and laughing and not, you ask me where I come from. When we meet biological rudeness, we're the ones who, like the fancy lady in suit says, dangerous, no emotions. Sure, yeah. No emotions. What can I say? Dum-dum. And that's where we'll wrap it up. So thanks for stopping by. We'll have some more again soon. Have a good one.